Carter sat on the roof of his outpost, watching the blue sky slowly turn orange. The alien moon, called Viridia 3, had beautiful sunsets. He often stayed outside during the evenings, letting the wind brush against his face while listening to soft radio music from Earth. It helped him feel less alone. He had been stationed here for 6 months, working as a mechanic and systems engineer. No one lived nearby, just rocks, mountains, and the wide sky. The job was simple: fix drones, maintain signal beacons, and report back to Central Command. He didn't mind the quiet. Life on Viridia 3 was peaceful, boring even. But Carter liked boring. After the chaos of Earth's war zones and deep space conflicts, silence was a gift. Then the sky cracked open. He heard the thunder before he saw the storm. Thick clouds formed too quickly, spinning with strange green lightning. Carter stood up and grabbed his binoculars. Far in the distance, a dark shape was falling from the clouds fast. It wasn't just a meteor. It was controlled, barely. A ship. His heart raced. Nothing was supposed to fly in this zone. No ships, no visitors, no missions. He watched the vessel crash into the eastern ridge. A huge dust cloud rose. Carter didn't think. He grabbed his emergency bag, jumped on his rover, and drove straight toward the impact site. It took him 20 minutes to reach the wreckage. The ship had buried itself into the side of a hill. The hull was sleek and black, covered in glowing silver markings. Definitely not human. Alien tech. But not like anything from the council species he had read about. Carter moved slowly, hands up, voice calm. "Hello? Is anyone alive in there?" The hatch was already open. Smoke poured out, and sparks jumped from the broken control panel. Inside, lying across the floor, was a tall female alien. Her skin was pale, violet, smooth like polished stone. Her eyes were closed, and her long silver hair was tangled across her chest. She had strange glowing tattoos along her arms and collarbones. Carter didn't see any blood, but her breathing was shallow. "You're gonna be okay," he said softly. He lifted her carefully, feeling how light she was despite her height. She didn't stir. He brought her back to the outpost, laid her gently on the medbed, and let the system scan her. The machine struggled to read her vitals. It wasn't programmed. For her species. Did the best he could: hydration, oxygen, stabilizers, and then he waited. Hours passed. Night fell. Carter sat beside her, wondering who she was, where she came from, and why she crashed near his station. Just as he was about to doze off in the chair, he heard her whisper, "Carter, ... He froze. She was awake. Her eyes, golden and glowing faintly, were staring straight at him. "How do you know my name?" he asked. She blinked slowly. "I saw." "You what?" "In the vision," she said, voice soft but clear. "Your face was there. Always." He had no idea what she meant. "You're safe now," he said, trying to remain calm. "You crashed. I brought you here." "Who are you?" "Zalari," she said. "Princess of the Zalari, daughter of Queen Varani." That name meant nothing to him. "Zalari? I don't think we've met your kind before." She nodded weakly. "We stayed hidden, ... but not from you." Carter stood up and ran a quick scan on her again. Her condition was improving, but she needed rest. He didn't want to push her for more answers. "Get some sleep," he said. "We'll talk more in the morning." But the next morning never came the way he expected. Before sunrise, a strange humming noise filled the air. Carter ran outside and looked up. A massive alien battleship hovered over the ridge. It was 10 times the size of any Earth cruiser. Elegant, sharp, and shining with blue light. Several smaller crafts broke off and sped toward the outpost. "You've got to be kidding me," Carter muttered. They landed around the building, and armored soldiers stepped out. They were tall like Zalari, with glowing eyes and long weapons. One of them pointed at Carter. "You are the human," the soldier said. "Step away from the princess." "Whoa, easy," Carter replied. "I helped her. She crashed. I saved her life." "She summoned us," another soldier said. We are here to take you both to the capital. What? Why me? But before he could ask anything more, Ilaria appeared at the doorway. Her posture was stronger now, though she still looked tired. She raised her hand, and the soldiers backed. Off, he comes with me, she said. The soldiers bowed their heads. Carter had no choice. They brought him and Ilaria aboard the battleship. The flight was smooth, and no one explained anything. Hours passed as they traveled across glowing skies and alien landscapes. Finally, they reached a giant floating city made of crystal and gold. Capital of the Lara. They landed at the royal palace. It was a massive structure shaped like a flower in bloom. Well, Carter followed Ilaria through wide halls, watched by curious alien nobles. Finally, they entered the throne room. At the end of the hall sat a tall woman with silver hair, glowing armor, and eyes like suns. Queen Varani. She looked down at Carter, her gaze sharp but curious. Then she spoke. Human. My daughter chooses. You. Carter's mind went blank. He didn't know what to say, didn't know what it meant. He looked at Ilaria. Her face was calm, almost hopeful. He had come to fix machines, and somehow ended up standing in front of a queen, chosen by an alien. Princess? What in the galaxy was happening? Carter stood frozen in the center of the throne room. The words the alien queen had spoken still echoed in his ears. Human. My daughter chooses you. He blinked. Once. Twice. Surely he had heard wrong. I think there's a mistake, Carter finally said, his voice cracking slightly. I didn't ask to be chosen. I don't even know what this means. Queen Varani looked at him with a calm but powerful gaze. There is no mistake. My daughter Ilaria has seen you in the Bond visions. She has chosen you. This is the ancient way. Carter glanced at Ilaria, who stood quietly beside the throne. She didn't look embarrassed or surprised. In fact, she looked steady, like this was something she had already accepted a long time ago. What exactly is a Bond division? He asked. Layar stepped forward, her golden eyes warm. Zalari do not choose their companions like other species. When we come of age, we see a soul thread in our dreams. It leads us to the one who matches us. It is rare, powerful. Our kind waits many years for this. I saw you long before my crash. Carter rubbed the back of his neck. I'm just a mechanic. I fix drones. I don't know anything about your world or your customs, yet you saved my life, Ilaria said gently. You cared for me without knowing who I was. That matters more than titles. The queen stood. Her tall figure made the floor tremble slightly as she walked closer to Carter. You will not be forced, she said. But our tradition requires that you at least accept the trial of unity. If you pass, the bond becomes real. If not, you may return to your world freely. Carter hesitated. And if I don't take the trial, you may leave now, Queen Varani said. But the door will be closed forever. Carter looked around. The Zalari court was silent. Everyone waited. It felt like every eye was on him. Had come here only to help someone. Now he was caught in something huge. And yet, a part of him was curious. What if this meant something? What if this wasn't just a strange accident? He took a deep breath. I'll take the trial. Soft. Murmur moved through the room. Queen Varani nodded. Then so it shall be. The next day, Carter was taken to the Temple of Reflection. It was built inside a mountain with glowing blue crystals and peaceful waterfalls running through the walls. He was given simple robes and left alone inside a chamber. A guide voice spoke from the wall. The trial of unity has 3 parts: mind, heart, and spirit. You must face yourself. You must face her world, and you must face the thread that connects both. The first test was of the mind. A holographic sphere appeared. It showed puzzles and languages Carter had never seen. He was told to translate, solve patterns, and learn the ways of Zalari logic. It wasn't easy, but he focused. He remembered his training back home, how to stay calm under stress. Then a soft chime rang. You have passed the first part, said the voice. The second test was of the heart. He entered a chamber filled with images. Scenes played in the air Zalari, people in need, their history, their stories. He was asked to decide who he would help and why. He saw a child alone, a soldier lost in fear, a healer without tools. He could only help one in each scene. Carter made choices based not on victory, but on kindness. He chose to help the ones who had no voice, the forgotten ones. When the final image faded, the chamber glowed with soft light. You have passed the second part. He sat down, exhausted, but strangely moved. He was learning more about their world than he ever thought he would. Then came the third trial of spirit. He was taken to a quiet garden filled with glowing flowers. A figure appeared before him, not real, not solid. It looked like Alara but older, with a calm smile. "Do you fear the unknown?" the spirit asked. "Yes," Carter answered honestly. "But that doesn't mean I'll run from it." "Do you love what you understand, or what you are learning to understand?" Carter thought for a moment. "I don't love her, not yet. But I respect her, and I want to know her better." The spirit smiled and touched his chest. "That is enough." The garden disappeared. When Carter opened his eyes, he was back in the throne room. Queen Virani, Alari, and the court waited. "You have completed the trial," the queen said. Carter's heart pounded. "Did I pass?" "You did more than that," she said. "You faced your fear, honored our people, and chose kindness over pride. You are not perfect, human, but neither are we. The bond may continue, if you still wish it." Lorraine stepped forward, closer now. "The vision showed me who you were, but what you've done here showed me who you are. And I choose you again." Carter took a deep breath. Everything had changed so quickly. But in this moment, he saw no lies, no tricks. Just a woman alien, yes, but honest and strong, and a choice that was his to make. "I don't know what the future holds," he said, voice steady. "But I'm willing to walk forward with you and find out." Alari smiled. The court rose and clapped in slow, graceful rhythm. Queen Virani raised her hand and a banner dropped behind the throne, showing a new symbol, 2 stars crossing paths. And Carter, as just a quiet human mechanic, became part of something far greater than he ever imagined. After the trial, Carter was given a new room in the palace. It was large, with soft lights, flowing water, and walls that shimmered like stars. Everything was peaceful, but he could not sleep. His mind was full of thoughts. He had passed the test, accepted Elare's choice, and now he was part of something he didn't fully understand. He sat by the window, staring at the alien sky. Twin moons glowed above. Soft wind carried the scent of strange flowers. He didn't feel scared anymore. Curious. How had his life changed so quickly? A gentle knock broke the silence. The door slid open, and Alari stepped in. "You should rest," she said softly. "I tried," Carter replied, smiling a little. "Too many questions in my head." Alaria walked closer and sat beside him. "I understand. Even in our culture, bonding is not a small step. Connects more than minds it, connects paths." He turned to look at her. "What happens now? Now you begin learning our world. Not as a guest, but as one of us." The next morning, Carter was taken to the Hall of Memory, a place where history lived through light and sound. He walked with Alare through glowing halls. Images moved on the walls, Zalari wars, peace treaties, ancient teachings, stories of love and honor. He listened closely. Their people believed in unity and balance. Their greatest heroes were not those who conquered, but those who healed, who connected species, who built bridges instead of walls. Carter started to see why the trial had been about kindness and understanding. It's not power, but as he walked deeper into their world, not everyone welcomed him. In the royal courtyard, Carter met General Jernica, tall, sharp-eyed alien warrior with dark green markings. His armor glowed faintly, and his tone was cold. "You are the human?" Jernic asked. "Yeah," Carter answered. "Name's Carter." Jernic didn't smile. "You passed the trial. I've seen it. But trials can be fooled. Visions can be misread. I've known Alari since she was born. She is like a sister to me. I would die to protect her. I believe. You, Carter said calmly. Then prove you deserve her, Jernick said. Face me in the right of balance. Carter blinked. What's that? A peaceful contest? Not to hurt, but to reveal truth. Queen Verani allowed it. The court gathered again in a wide arena made of glowing stone. Carter wore simple robes. Jernick wore ceremonial armor. It wasn't a fight. Instead, they were given 5 tests. Awareness. Trust, memory, care, and calm. In the first round, Jernick moved silently around Carter in a dark room. Carter had to find him using only sound and light. He closed his eyes and listened. Every step, every breath mattered. He found Jernick without touching him. The crowd nodded. The second test was trust. They were tied together at the wrist and made to walk blindfolded across a narrow beam above water. Jernick moved fast. Carter moved slow but steady. Halfway through, Jernick's slipped hand Carter caught him, even though it nearly pulled them both down. Gasps filled the air. Carter smiled. I don't win by letting others fall. The third was memory, which was shown a pattern of alien symbols. Later, they had to draw it from memory. Jernick was quick, but missed one. Carter got them all, even though it took longer. I fixed things, Carter said with a shrug. Details matter. The fourth test was care. They were given injured small creatures, 2 tree-gentle animals native to Zellery lands. Jernick struggled with the delicate steps. Carter, with his hands steady and soft, wrapped wounds, cleaned cuts, and kept the creatures calm. The final test was calm. They sat face to face while loud noises, bright lights, and strange illusions filled the room. Carter slowed his breathing. He remembered the wind on Viridia 3, the silence of the night. He let go of fear. When the contest ended, Jernick stood silent. The queen asked, What have you seen? Jernick looked at Carter and said, I still don't understand the visions, but I understand him now. He's not strong like a warrior, but he is strong in other ways. He turned and bowed. I will no longer stand in their path. Carter bowed too. Q for protecting her all these years. The court clapped. Alade smiled from the stands. Carter felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not pride, not victory, but connection. Over the next days, he trained with the scholars, learned their languages, shared stories of Earth. Alari often joined him, showing him the floating gardens, the sea of mirrors, and the whispering forest where trees responded to thought. They laughed together. They argued gently. They learned how to walk beside each other. Carter started to see more than just beauty in Alari. He saw strength, wisdom, and a heart full of dreams, and she in turn saw in him something steady, something kind. Not a hero, but a person worth choosing again and again. But peace never stays untouched. One night, a message came from the edge of their space. A Zellery scout ship had been attacked. The attackers were unknown, fast, dangerous. The queen called her council. Voices rose. Fear grew. We must strike first, some shouted. No, the queen said. We must understand first. Carter listened. Then asked softly, Do you want me to help? Larray looked at him. Would you? He nodded. If I'm going to be part of your world, I want to protect it too. The queen agreed. A small team would be sent to investigate. Carter would go with Alari at his side. And so, what began as a rescue on a lonely moon had become something far more now. A human and an alien princess would face the unknown together, not because of duty, but because of choice. The Zellery scout ship was small but fast. It moved silently across the dark side of the galaxy, heading toward the signal of the missing vessel. Carter sat near a window, staring into the stars. He still couldn't believe where he was. Just weeks ago, he was repairing machines on a quiet moon. Now, he was flying next to an alien princess on a mission of peace. Lara stood beside him, her silver hair tied back and her eyes focused. She wore light armor more like ceremonial gear than combat gear, but Carter could tell she was ready for anything. Are you nervous? She asked softly. A little, he replied, but I'm more curious. Good, she said with a slight smile. Curiosity leads to wisdom. Fear only leads to darkness. A soldier entered the room and gave a report. We're 10 minutes from the last known signal. Scanners show no movement nearby, Aladia said. Even silence can hide danger. Carter checked his gear. He wasn't a soldier, but the team had trained him in basic defense and communication tools. He wore a small translator device on his wrist and a light shield on his belt. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He just didn't want to be a burden. When they reached the signal point, the ship slowed down. Outside, a broken Zalari scout vessel floated in space. Looked like it had been torn apart by something fast and sharp. Scorch marks covered the hull. Any signs of life? Carter asked. None, the pilot answered. They moved closer and sent out a small drone. The images that came back were strange. The metal had been cut by something that didn't match known weapons. Not plasma, not laser. Something different. Something older. What could have done this? Carter asked. Layer studied the cuts. I don't know, but this damage, it feels angry. The ship's sensors lit up suddenly. Red signals flashed across the board. Incoming object, shouted the soldier. Fast and known design. Carter stood up. Are we under attack? Before anyone could answer, a strange ship appeared out of nowhere. It looked like a mix of rock and machine, dark and jagged like a flying beast. Lights, no signals, just pure speed. It flew straight, toward, then stopped. Everyone on the ship froze. Hail them, Alari ordered. No answer. Try again. Still no answer. They're scanning us, the pilot said. But it's not normal tech. They're scanning our memories. Our thoughts. Carter felt cold. That's not possible, is it? The ship outside moved suddenly, turned, and flew away just like that. Should we follow? One of the guards asked. No, Alari said. They wanted us to see the wreck. Then they wanted us to feel fear. Carter looked at her. And why didn't they attack? Maybe. They're testing us. They returned to the capital with the broken scout ship's data. Queen Varani called an emergency meeting. Holograms showed the damage. Leaders of nearby worlds were invited to see it too. Some whispered of ancient threats, lost species, forgotten machines, or something worse. This was not just a warning, said General Jernick, who now stood respectfully beside Carter. Was a message. We are being watched. Queen Varani turned to Carter. You felt the scan? Did it touch your thoughts? Carter nodded. Yes. It was cold. Not cruel, but distant. Like it didn't care what we were. It just wanted to understand us. Before deciding something. This matches old stories, Jernick said, of the Black Wanderers. Machines that judge species by their actions. Not their words. They only appeared in myths, Alare said. Stories for children. But stories often come from truth, the Queen replied. Carter sat quietly, thinking. Then maybe we need to show them who we really are. The Queen agreed. Not with war. Not yet. We must learn more. In the days that followed, Carter and Alari worked together. They visited data vaults, spoke with historians, and searched. For old records, the Wanderers were real. It seemed ancient machines from before the Galactic Council created by unknown hands. They watched species grow. The species became violent, greedy, or harmful to others. The Wanderers acted. By removing them, they think like judges, Carter said. Cold and fair, no emotion. Then how do we convince them we are worth keeping? Alori asked. Maybe by showing unity. Carter had an idea. He asked for permission to speak before the Council of Worlds. At first, they were unsure. He was just a human, new to their world. But Queen Varani supported him. So did Layar. On the day of the council gathering, leaders from 12 species gathered in a round hall. Carter stood in the center. He wore no armor, no title, just his truth. I came here as a stranger, he began. I didn't know your ways, your language, or your people, but I was welcomed, tested, and accepted. He looked around. Now, we face a danger we don't fully understand. But if they judge us by how we treat one another, then maybe we have a chance. This world showed me something powerful that bonds between people, even from different stars, matter more than fear or war. I ask you all to stand together not in battle but in peace, not to show our weapons, but to show we are worth saving. The room was silent for a moment. Then Queen Varani stood. I support this human's words. One by one, other leaders stood too. Carter looked up at the stars that night and wondered, had the wanderers heard, as he walked through the quiet palace garden with Alari beside him? She whispered, You changed something today. I hope it was enough, he said. Laurie looked at him with soft eyes. You gave us hope. That's more than enough for now. But far in the galaxy, something dark began to move again, and this time it would not just watch. A strange silence covered the capital city after the council meeting. Carter could feel it everywhere, in the way people walked, in the way the skies seemed still, and even in the way Alara held his hand a little longer whenever they spoke. Something was coming. Everyone felt it. For the next few days, the Queen ordered no war preparations, but instead focused on unity. Temples were opened. Messages of peace were sent to nearby systems. Carter worked with Alari, meeting alien ambassadors, sharing stories, even teaching human customs. Some aliens found his simple Earth habits like shaking hands or telling jokes strange, but they smiled and listened. Do you really think this will reach them? Larry asked one night as they stood on a balcony under the stars. I don't. No, Carter answered honestly. But if they're watching us, I want them to see something worth keeping. Before she could reply, a sound echoed in the sky. Soft at first, then rising into a deep hum. Lights in the city flickered. Palace shields activated. Alarms rang out. What is it? Carter asked, stepping back. A royal guard ran in. They've returned. The dark ship. It is above us. Carter and Alare rushed to the command hall. Queen Varani stood at the center, calm but serious. A giant screen showed the ship in orbit. It looked the same, dark, sharp, and quiet. Number. Signals. No weapons yet. Double quotes, are they communicating? Alari asked. A soldier answered, not with words, but they're broadcasting something. Images. Put it on the main screen, the Queen ordered. The screen changed. Strange pictures flashed across it. Cities burning, planets breaking, species vanishing. Then, the image of the scout ship they had found, floating broken in space. Then, the Zalari capital, same as now but destroyed. A message appeared in glowing alien symbols. The translator struggled to read it. Then a voice spoke, flat and cold. Your potential is great. Your balance is not. Carter's chest tightened. They're warning us. Alari narrowed her eyes. We're testing us again. Queen Varani stood tall. We will not attack. Not yet. We respond with what we are, not what they fear. Carter stepped forward. Maybe they don't understand peace the way we do. Maybe they only measure risk and survival. Then how do we answer? Jernick asked from the side. We show them something different, Carter said. I want to speak to them. Everyone turned to look at him. You, Jernick asked. Yes, Carter said. They scanned my thoughts once. Maybe they'll listen if I speak directly. Not as a soldier, not as a leader. Just as me. Queen Varani studied him. You may try. But if they turn hostile, I understand. Carter nodded. They prepared a shuttle and sent Carter alone into orbit. The shuttle was unarmed. It carried only a beacon, a speaker, and a signal that matched the Wanderer's language as he floated closer to the dark ship. Carter's hands shook slightly. It felt like entering the mouth of a giant beast. Still, he activated the signal and spoke. My name is Carter. I'm a human from Earth. I live among the Zalari now. I know. Your history, I know you judge, but I ask you to look deeper. He paused. The ship didn't move. We're not perfect, he continued. We fight. We make mistakes, but we also learn. We grow. We care. We help each other, even if we're different. He took a breath. I'm just one person. I was nobody. Then, one of your judged species chose me, not because of power, not because of fear, because she saw something in me, something simple. Kindness. If that's not enough for you, then I don't know what is. He waited. No reply, nothing, just silence. Then the screen inside the shuttle flickered. A single image appeared. It was Carter and Alari standing together, her hand on his eyes looking into hers. It was from a day no one had photographed. A private moment, then another image Carter helping Alari, and she was injured after her crash. Then one more Carter catching Jernick during the trial test, saving them both. Finally, a single line of text appeared. Connection observed. Then, the ship turned and disappeared into the stars without sound, without attack. Back in the capital, the Queen watched from the palace roof. When the dark ship vanished, she nodded slowly. They have seen enough. Carter returned to a quiet but joyful city. No parades, no loud victory. It's just peace. For now, Lair met him at the landing pad. She ran up to him, and though her people rarely showed emotion in public, she placed her forehead against his an-old gesture of respect and bond. You did it, she whispered. We did, he said, smiling. Over the next few days, life returned. To normal, the council sent messages of peace across nearby systems. Old enemies spoke again. Hope spread. One evening, as Carter and Ilaria walked in the floating gardens, he asked her, Do you still choose me? Ilaria looked up at the stars, then at him. I didn't choose you because of fate or because of a vision. I chose you. Because even when you had no reason to stay, you did. She took his hand, and I choose you still. A soft wind moved through the glowing trees of the whispering forest. Birds with crystal wings flew above the garden path, and small lights danced on the leaves. Carter walked quietly beside Alari, his steps slow, his thoughts deep. Dothaga. City was calm now. His mind still carried the weight of what had happened. He looked up at the sky. The dark ship was gone. The galaxy had not been judged, at least not destroyed. But Carter knew one thing. The Watchers were still out there. Silent, always watching. Do you ever think they'll return? Carter asked softly. Lair. I didn't answer right away.
Yes?
She touched a glowing flower beside the path and watched it close gently under her fingers. Yes, she said, but maybe not as enemies. Maybe as witnesses. You think they accepted? Us! I think they saw something in you they had not seen in a long time, she replied. Something true. Carter smiled a little. I'm just one person, yes, Alari said. But sometimes one person is enough. The days that followed were filled with change. The council, once divided by politics and fear, now met, more often to share progress, ideas, and culture. The Zelari opened more of their libraries, inviting scholars from other species to learn. And humans, once distant in galactic politics, were now being invited to sit beside leaders of ancient worlds. Carter received a message from Earth, who was offered a position ambassador between humanity and the Zelari. What will you say? Alari asked him, as they sat in the Hall of Stars. I don't know yet, Carter replied. I never imagined being someone important. She touched his arm gently. You are important to me, and that's more than enough. He looked at her. Do you want me to stay here? I want you to go where your heart tells you. If that's Earth, I'll understand. If it's here, I'll be by your side. Carter thought about it for a long time. He remembered his small outpost on Viridia 3, the quiet sky, the broken ship that changed everything. He remembered lifting Ilaria from the wreckage, not knowing who she was. He remembered her calling his name before he even spoke, and he remembered the Queen's voice. Human, my daughter chooses you. That voice had once confused him.
I know.
It gave him strength. He made his choice. He would stay, not just for love, but for purpose. His voice, simple and human, had made a difference. Maybe it could again. The Queen held a new ceremony, one not seen in many years. It was called the Bond of Unity, a rare joining of two lives across worlds, not just as partners, but as symbols of peace. The whole city gathered. Leaders from the council came. Humans sent envoys. Earth's flag flew beside the banner of the Zalari. Carter stood in the center of the circle, dressed in light silver robes, made of Zelari fabric. Alareia stood beside him, her long hair shining under the twin moons. Queen Varani stepped forward. Her voice echoed across the hall. Long ago, our people believed that only our own could walk our paths. But time has changed us, and today we witness something greater. She looked at Carter. You came here as a stranger, past hour. Tests, you faced doubt, danger, and judgment. Not with weapons, but with words. Not with fear, but with truth. She turned to Alari. And you, my daughter, saw beyond the stars. You followed a vision others could not see. And in that path you found not just a companion, but a bridge. The queen raised her hand. Today we honor not only a bond between two beings, but a promise between two worlds. The crowd stood in silence as Carter and Alari placed their hands together. A soft light glowed between them. Not magic, not technology. It's just warmth. Unity. After the ceremony, Carter was greeted by old friends and new leaders. Jernick clapped him on the shoulder. You are not what I expected, Jernick said with a small smile. But you are exactly what we needed. Carter chuckled. Thanks. Think. As night fell, Carter and Alare returned to the palace balcony. The stars were bright. Music from the city rose like soft waves. Do you think the watchers saw the ceremony? Carter asked. La nodded. They see everything. Then maybe, Carter said, they'll finally understand. Alare looked at him gently. Maybe. But what matters more is that we understand. He leaned against the balcony rail, holding her hand. I used to fix broken machines, he said. Now, I help fix broken trust. You still fix things? Alari whispered. Only now, you fix hearts. They stood there, side by side, as two people who had once been strangers. From two distant worlds, now united not because of fate, or duty, or even destiny, but because one alien girl believed in a human boy, and he believed in her, too. Together, they became the voice that changed the galaxy.